you ever felt this way?
You're gonna want to watch this if you want to see 7 movies of flashbacks. Hi, this is Shadowscape Pictures. My name is Philip Wilson, and this is the review for Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Ethan and his team pursue Gabriel, an agent working for a rogue AI called the Entity, which threatens global stability. Ethan ignores orders from the US president to surrender a crucial key. He and his team race to stop the Entity from triggering a nuclear holocaust. I had that written by AI. First off, I want to say is the music score is really good. I think they just changed the theme song just a little bit. It was like a little bit of a downgrade, slight downgrade, but it still works out throughout the entire movie. And I do think this is a score that really wants to be heard, and I do think it outshines most of the movie pretty well. The biggest thing about this movie is it gives us like at least like 10 minutes of flashbacks from the previous 7 movies. Why? Why is this even necessary to have that? I just don't get that at all. No one told you guys, hey Tom Cruise, like I don't think this is a great idea. Me and my bro, we watched all 7 movies before the 8th one, and what? We get a little recap of 10 minutes of this crap again? Like why? Why are you guys recapping all these movies again? I don't think it was necessary at all. I was just like, let's get on with this. Let's get moving. Tom Cruise was like, nah, I gotta have it my way, cause I'm the best.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall.
And they didn't even have the 10-minute hook either. It was just like flashbacks and then some little more crap with Grace and Ethan, technically just Tom Cruise. And then the fuse part was just, why? For some reason this movie just felt so off in so many ways. Giving us the flashbacks, I think they were just pandering to whoever has not seen the movies at all. I don't think it was necessary at all, but hey, you guys do you. They usually gave us like a 10-minute like hook essentially for all these movies, and then they lit the fuse, and I thought it was like some of the coolest things ever. And then it gets to this movie, and when the fuse hits and the intro credits start, I was like, that's it? Like, it was just really disappointing. No one said anything like that's just strange or anything. No one critiqued this at all. Man, that was just so disappointing. Every time they lit the fuse, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for this epic part, and then they'll light the fuse in a like epic way, and I'll be like, yeah, goddamn right. But this film, it's like, no. The intro credits are so big and so fast, I can't even read anyone's goddamn name. But the only name you need to know is Tom Cruise, and that's it. Because it's Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is the best, and that's it. No one else matters. As a lot of others have mentioned, this is basically just an exposition film, really. They tell you everything about what's gonna happen and such. Even the part with Gabriel saying, yeah, there's 2 planes and one's like a spare. I'm like, why? Why are you even telling anybody any of that? It doesn't even make any sense. But they're just like, yeah, we gotta tell the audience everything. You know, at least leave some room for mystery. You know, I want to solve things myself as well. But no, you guys gotta tell everybody everything in the movie. Also, the first 30 minutes was just very weird. Before they light the fuse, essentially, for the intro credits, I just thought everything was very strange. Like, it almost felt like Tom Cruise wasn't really acting. It just felt like they were like clones or something. It just, like, I was like, it just feels off. It doesn't feel like this belonged in the movie at all. The acting itself was questionable at best in that scene as well, with Grace and Ethan. I was like, what? It didn't even seem like they were their characters anymore. And then he goes off and kills these like goons essentially, and he like actually like just straight up like murders them, like as if he's a serial killer. And I'm like, are you good? Are you mentally like stable, Ethan Hunt? Or should I say Tom Cruise?
We've never seen you behave this way before.
I know.
Have you ever felt this way before?
I don't think so. It just seemed weird for their characters to do such a thing. And they did it. And I was like, bro, what? One of the other big things was, I don't know why they came up with this crap for the rabbit's foot. I actually really like Mission Impossible 3, and I like the way that they never told you what the rabbit's foot was, and this one they're just like, yeah, here you go, this is what it is. And I'm like, why? Why do you guys need to fix every plot hole of all the movies and then put it all into one? It's just kind of like lame. This movie doesn't even stand alone on itself. It's just a combination of all the movies in like one movie. And that's it. Oh man, so disappointing, honestly. The one thing I'm glad is they showed how the keys were picked up, because they didn't explain that in Dead Reckoning at all. But in this film, they at least did, and I just feel like it was just shoehorned in. They had no idea how to make a good story out of this film at all. Gabriel's character isn't really intriguing in this film at all, really. He's just like there as a plot device. He doesn't really serve a purpose. He's really just a throwaway villain, and that's it. They didn't explain any like story or like depth between Ethan and Gabriel's character at all. I don't know why they did that, but they just decided to say, hey Gabriel, you're just gonna do some weird shit and say some weird ass things, and then you're gonna die, and that's it. And it's like, nice. Then they had to shoehorn a bunch of like females in high-ranking positions. I was like, why? Why is there a female black president? Does that even make any sense? I feel like that's just shoehorned in. One of the dive masters as like a woman as well. And then they had all like the pilots and stuff as like female. I was like, what is this? Like, there's no dudes in here anymore? It's just female everything? It kind of makes sense since they got some of the money from Canada, so it makes sense why they got to have the DEI quota in there. And there you go. And then you get money from Canada, it seems. Once you start pandering, you get Canada money. Honestly, with this story, it felt like they put all 7 movies into the AI, and then they were like, just told AI, can you make me a story for this next movie? And Final Reckoning came out. Or shall I say, Final Cockening.
Have you ever felt this way?
Like most people know, there's 2 big action sequences in this film. It's a dive sequence, which was actually really cool. I really liked that. I thought the plane sequence was awesome. It had me at the edge of my seat as well. Like, I was like, yo, this is really cool. But the way it ended and such, I was like, really? That's how it ends? It just seemed kind of like, okay. It didn't have anything that was like super like satisfying, I would say. I don't even know why Ethan Hunt and Grace weren't banging this entire movie. I was like, yo, these people should be like humping the shit out of each other. But they don't? Like, what? Ethan Hunt here is simping for her, and it's like, nah, we won't kiss or anything at all. We'll just go our separate ways by the end. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. This film references a lot of the first Mission Impossible, and they brought back William Dunlow from like the CIA analyst or whatever. I thought these things were really cool. It's just, I think they relied too much on the first film and such that they really forgot how to tell the story of their own kind of story. Sure, it's like a buildup of like 30 years or whatever, but still, like, at least tell the story on its own, in its own way. I do think Ethan's team got sidelined quite a bit. Even Simon Pegg as Benji, I don't think he was in there quite enough. And this movie overall doesn't have enough comedy as it is. Personally, I think this film was just making it up as they went along. I do think this movie is Tom Cruise on steroids, where we care a lot about the action sequences, but the story is an afterthought. That's really how they promote these films nowadays, is just, it's the stunts, and then the story is down in the goddamn grave. I also think this movie should have went full circle. If you're having references and stuff that carry so much weight into this movie from the first movie, you might as well make it go full circle and kill off more of the team. I don't know why they didn't kill more of the team off, but obviously Tom Cruise wants to make more movies. And that's what I gather from this. And that's exactly what they'll probably do. So it's not really an ending, it's just more or less a continuation and an ending of a story, and that's it. One of the best things about this was killing off Luther. I'm glad they did that. I'm really glad they did that, because at least it had somewhat of stakes at the beginning, and then by like the end of it ish, you kind of knew that they were all gonna make it, and that's just how it was gonna work. So it never really felt like an ending at all. I personally would have just ended it here, if I'm really being honest. I don't think Tom Cruise should make more of these, but clearly it's Tom Cruise and he doesn't give a shit. I do think they also just put in way too many characters in the film, and they just weren't needed. There was a lot of throwaway characters in this film that just, why were you even in here? They didn't need all these characters. And I do think they could have actually cut the movie quite a bit and really up the pacing on this film instead of making it almost 3 hours long. I don't think it needed to be that long. I think they could have cut out a lot of the first part of the movie, I would say, and just make it really cool. I do think there's a good movie in there. It's just there's a lot of scenes that aren't necessary at all. For $400 million, I do think it almost looks that expensive. I'd probably say it looks closer to 3, just because like the set pieces and such, and especially like the plane and such, that was really cool. And like the dive sequence, it's awesome. Like those 2 scenes are awesome in this film. It's just the story that's just not quite there. It's not quite memorable. The villain's not even memorable, and it just lacks like the true charm that Mission Impossible truly was. It just seems like they weren't really all there. Seems kind of like lifeless and soulless to some degree. Like the music is just outstanding overall, and I do think it's the best part of the film, over the action sequences even. And it could have been so much better if they at least tightened up the script, which obviously they don't tighten up anything on the script because they just make it up as they go. Overall, I'd give this like a 6.5 out of 10. I don't think it's amazing by any means. Well, that's my review of Mission Impossible: The Final Cuckening, and I do think it's one of the weakest films in the Mission Impossible franchise by far.
Way before.
I know.
Have you ever felt this way?
If you guys like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me your thoughts on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and tell me if you actually enjoyed it, if you didn't like it, or whatever.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall.
And of course, if you didn't like this video, bye bye, turn it off!